I can't do it. We'll do it live. Do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
Mister, will you please wake up?
Montana looking, throwing in the end zone. Caught it! Right.
Merrill over the head of Jenks. Uribe charges, throws, out! And the White Sox have won the World Series.
And that'll do it. It's over. The Golden State Warriors return to a familiar place. They're on top of the NBA world.
We're down to 2, now to 1. Here's Jordan. Yes! It is all over. The Chicago Bulls.
This is Snowman in the Morning.
Hey, this promises to be fun.
Oh, yeah!
Rolling along this Wednesday morning, on the Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson broadcast. with Brian Snow. I am Cole Johnson. How you doing, partner?
Well, I'm here.
Well,
I've had bodily stomach issues all morning, but I'm here. But I will lay a warning. If I suddenly leave, you will know why, because this has been physical for most of the morning. This is why I asked you, just in case. Just in case I take off, and to my guests, if I do take off and I don't make it back, trust me, my partner is very capable in handling this. And yes, that's a green screen behind me. But yeah, you got the bulk of it today, partner.
All right. Well,
because right now I ain't feeling it. At least not yet.
Well, all right, just to set the table, the bottom of this hour will be Chris Dietz. He'll be joining us. Of course, that's the man from the Fit Down Sports Show. We have Nurse Namastasia to join us in hour number 2, the bottom of that hour. And then Stacy Purcell, she'll join us in the bottom of hour number 3. And it is Wednesday, but we're not going to do that just yet. But what we are going to do is today's edition of The Whip Around. All right, let's start in South Beach.
Oh,
just
no.
To give you a hint and a clue as to what we're going to be doing today. But no, we're not talking about that figure just yet. We're talking about the Dolphins owner, Stephen Ross. So the Shield decides to strip the Dolphins of their next year's first-round draft pick. They fine the owner $1.5 million for tampering with trying to get the coach, the former Saints coach Sean Payton, and of course the current Buccaneers quarterback Tom Brady to coach/play alongside the Dolphin brand. So this is following a 6-month investigation. The league found the vice chairman and limited partner, also Bruce Beal, along with Stephen Ross, that they violated the anti-tampering policy not once, and actually not the 2 occasions, but they also did it a 3rd time. But the NFL didn't find any evidence that the team intentionally lost games during the 2019 season. That is a charge that former head coach Brian Flores levied upon the team in his lawsuit that he filed 6 months ago. Well, that's a nice slap on the wrist.
Oh, brother.
And that's
another slap on the wrist. Where have we seen that before?
Yeah. So losing a draft pick and being fined less than $2 million. Yeah, that's nothing. That's a sneeze in the bucket to one Mr. Stephen Ross. Oh, I like that one. Bad news coming out of Mile High. Broncos wide receiver Tim Patrick suffered a torn ACL in his right knee. And unfortunately, that means he will not play for the 2022 season. Now, he caught a pass during team drills yesterday in front of cornerback Issain Bassi. And when Patrick tried to turn and run upfield, his leg uncomfortably buckled, and he immediately grabbed his knee as he fell to the ground. Many teammates surrounded him as the team trainers examined him as well. This is a huge blow for the Broncos, considering that they're trying to turn the page and they're trying to catch as best they can the Chiefs being the forerunners of the AFC West. That's not a good sign. Not a good sign for him. Broncos head coach Nathaniel Hackett went onward to actually say the following. Quote, guys like Tim, it just breaks your heart. The worst part of this game is when things like this happen. Tim's a guy that's well respected across this team, across this league. Close quote. And this is not the first teammate that has suffered a torn ACL. In fact, Cortland Sutton suffered one, I think it was like a couple years ago. And this has been an issue that seemingly the Broncos have had for whatever reason. But our prayers are out to Tim. Hopefully everything is fine. And man, the Broncos, the hits just keep on coming uncomfortably and unfortunately. Now, news that will make my partner smile even though he's not feeling well. Deebo Samuel says that the communication was key in working out his new deal with the 49ers. Now, you will get why I'm making him smile with this before I end this one. So after a week after he was called one of the most, after a week as he called one of the most stressful weeks in his life, which ended with a lucrative contract extension, Deebo was finally free to speak on the speculation that swirled around him during the turbulent offseason. Now, his deal is a 3-year extension worth up to $73.5 million. And he was wearing a T-shirt when he signed it with teammate Brandon Ayuk on it. Of course, it's a fellow wide receiver on the 49ers. And he then spent a little more than 8 minutes fielding questions about the contract saga that took place from January until, well, publicly until April, and silently from April until now. Samuel basically said this about that contract signing and the scuttlebutt about it. Quote, "At the end of the day, this is a business. So what changed was the communication. The more we communicated, the more we started to figure things out." Close quote. What a shock. What a shock. And I say it that way because when it was news right before the draft that the two parties were not having talks, that it was contentious between them, my thought was, well, duh, that happens. And it's not a sign that the 49ers want to move on from Deebo, and it's not a sign that Deebo wants to move on from the 49ers. To me, it was, and I said this on this show, it is a sign of, well, Deebo thinks he's worth the price. The 49ers are saying, okay, well, I believe he's worth that price, but we probably can only afford this one. The twain didn't meet until this past week. But quite frankly, Deebo won because the 49ers saw the value in him. And how could they not? Because as I said on this show yesterday, we saw in that playoff run that unfortunately ended with an NFC Championship loss to the Rams, that that basically the chips were being brought to the wagons of one Nick Bosa, of one George Kittle, and of one Deebo Samuel. If you don't believe me, check out all 3 of the playoff games they played, and probably a couple of the games leading into the playoffs.
Oh, by the way, if y'all want an indication, fair use in advance, on how valuable Deebo Samuel is to the 49ers, here you go.
Gets it. Samuel breaks a couple of tackles, doing it all. First down inside the 30. An amazing night continues at the end.
10-10 tie, Lambeau Field, Packer fans talking all kinds of you-know-what. And Deebo Samuel, the most unlikely candidate, according to the Packers, to get a key first down on a 3rd and 7, got 11.
With under a minute to go in that game. And in Packers territory. So, yeah.
And every Packer fan I know choked on their bratwurst.
I know you were happy about that. But
I was yelling my brains out.
But the reason why I said that would make this story would make my partner smile was because I was glad to see Deebo actually mention communication, because that was something that, quite frankly, and let me give you this bad kept secret, that's something the 49ers and Deebo never broke. I'm sorry to say that to you. They never broke.
And to all the folks at the major networks that thought he was going elsewhere, nah, fools.
He was homesick. This is a doggone pro and a man. Stop emasculating people. Good Lord. The NCAA accuses Rick Pitino of authorizing bribery. Yes. And
We've heard this before. Next.
Yeah. And it involves Louisville recruit Brian Bowen this time.
Next. We've heard it before. We've heard it before. Move on. Next.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so Kareem. He decided to weigh in on the Will Smith slapping Chris Rock saga back in March.
Nope. Can't do it. Can't do it. Next. Nope. Put a big fat strike on that, because that's a can of worms we're not going to open. That's a next, please. Trust me. Trust me. Look, we're not going to hear the end. We're not going to hear the end of it. There's going to be reactions. Let it all play out first. Next.
All right. Well, that ends today's Whip Around.
The Whip Around is presented by Fanatics, where sports fans shop. Go to officialsitmorn.com/fanatics. Start shopping, support your favorite players, support your favorite team, and we'll get a little help when you guys shop with Fanatics. I ain't touching that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Will Smith, Chris Rock story. Nope. Because I'm going to expose a poorly kept secret like you exposed one. Black people love drama. Well, this ain't the spot for it.
Oh, and the reason why
I went there.
and the reason why I focus that story is because Bronsexuals later on in this hour, the man that just spoke and the man that you're going to clown all throughout from now until the time you pass Yo Kang passes him on the all-time most prolific scorers list in NBA history, he actually exhibits intelligence, even in the story that my partner doesn't want to talk about. That is unlike Yo Kang. On the other side, we're going to pay homage to one of the greatest baseball voices of all time. We remember Vin Scully on the other side. This is Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson. I'm Cole Johnson. With Brian Snow, we shall return.
This is Snowman in the Morning.
Hey everybody, Snowman here. Thanks for listening to this episode of Snowman in the Morning. You can support us at Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson every time you shop for fan gear or collectibles at Fanatics. Just visit officialsitmorn.com/fanatics and click on the Fanatics logo. Then shop as planned and we'll get a commission on your sale that will help us a ton. Next time you're going to shop at Fanatics, just visit officialsitmorn.com/fanatics and support our morning show. Thanks.
Discouragement, sorrow, distance. Your arguments cause damage to your family. The hurt leads to divorce. You feel like there is nowhere else to turn. But there is hope for you. That's where we come into play. There is an overcomer that lives inside of you. One ready to take on the world as you leap for joy, living in victory. You'll grow to love yourself and others. There's life after divorce, and you can claim it today. Get Over Divorce, where your new story begins here every Thursday on YouTube and Spreaker.
I can't do it. We'll do it live. Do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
Mister, will you please wake up?
He's a 4-time NBA champion, a 2-time league MVP, a member of our 75th anniversary team, and for the first time ever, He's an NBA Finals MVP. The 2022 Bill Russell NBA Finals MVP award goes to Stephen Curry.
This is Snowman in the Morning.
Hey, this promises to be fun.
Oh, yeah.
Can't wait.
Are you kidding me?
Do you believe it? It's the hottest of hot takes and the coldest of cold, hard facts. Every day at 8 a.m. Eastern Time.
BS3 Network. Changing the way you watch TV.
Mister, how do you operate this Twitter thing or this Instagram thing or whatever the heck? You're supposed to know all this stuff. Anyway, welcome back to the show.
It is official SIT Morn. It's official SIT Morn on TikTok, Twitch, Instagram, and Twitter. Follow us on official SIT Morn. Welcome back to Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson, with Brian Snow. Taking a step back. He should return soon. I am Cole Johnson. Let's check the chat and the fam, shall we? Ryan, he says, good morning, gentlemen, and good morning to everyone watching and listening. Happy Wednesday. I appreciate that. And thank you. And join this man joining us every Monday at 8:35 in the morning as we have coffee with McCarthy. Great guy. And yes, tune into his No Credentials Required. Beautiful viewing. Sick, he says, good morning, fellas. Happy Wednesday, and happy Wednesday to you all the way in Norway, sir. And he also says, good morning to you, Ryan. Six says, given it's raining out here, I'm sure the Bronsexuals will be in fat suits and dragged to full weather girls for their king. And yeah, the only difference is the Bronsexuals will be saying, it's raining, my man. Boy. Ryan says, wait, Debo and the 90s used communication to figure out the differences? Oh, no. Exactly. For the Rippertino story, Six says, next. He also said for the Will Smith / Chris Rock / Will Smith story, Six says, good call, Snowman. Sick also goes on to say that championship was a redemption, talking about the clip of in the commercial seeing the Warriors winning against the Celtics. That was a redemption for the entire Golden State Warriors organization. For Curry, his finals MVP solidifies him as one of the greats. I agree. Oh, and Mr. McCoffey says, every Monday, y'all. Every Monday. Now, at the bottom of this hour, we will have Chris Dietz. And at the top of the next hour, we will have Bronsexual Confessions. Oh, yeah. Tune in for that. But for right now, we're going to pay homage to one of the greatest voices in the sports broadcasting sphere. As for those who don't know, Vince Scully, the voice of the Dodgers for 67 years and calling over 9,000 games. He died last night, and it was bittersweet. I mean, he was 94, so that was, you don't ever want to see anybody die, but he lived a full life. I mean, heck, he was the voice of the Dodgers longer than many people lived. So he lived a more than full, robust life, just being the voice of the Dodgers. So for those who didn't hear Scully's voice, he had a very velvet tone to it. It was smooth, and his style was he tried not to get in the way. And he was not just a baseball voice. In fact, one of my favorite calls from him, period, was the 1981 NFC Championship game where he was in the moment. And of course, for those who don't know, that is, of course, when the 49ers dynasty, in my estimation, truly began, when Montana rolled to the right and threw, I think it was a 10-yard touchdown pass to the outstretched arms of one Dwight Clark over the one arm reaching Everson Walls, who at that time he actually won Rookie of the Year, and he actually had the most interceptions that year, and I think he had 11 or 13. I think it was 13. But that call was wonderful from the standpoint of you got a chance to see him know the sport with that play. So he set the stage, set the scene. He called the play perfectly. And when the explosion, and I do mean the crowd in Candlestick Park exploded, as soon as Clark's 2 feet hit the end zone, the whole stadium exploded. Scully allowed the moment to talk for itself. And this is really interesting because you have a radio voice who was on a TV medium, and he knew how to give it space, because with radio you have to explain every detail because you're supposed to paint the picture with words, and Vin could paint a pretty picture with words. But in this instance, he let the moment breathe. Another instance, probably my favorite call from him, would be Game 1, 1988 World Series, where it's bottom of the 9th, and you had Dennis Eckersley on the mound. He was trying to close out things. And you had Kirk Gibson, who he was just busted and hurting. In fact, the lore goes that when he swung, he grunted because he had hurt ribs. And he tried to take some cuts and take some swings in the batting cage that was in their locker room in Dodger Stadium. And all the trainers and batting coaches who were looking on to see him actually try to take his cuts, they said he looked absolutely horrible. But the moment Gibson got up to the plate and he worked the count full, or for those who don't know, the count was 3-2, 3 balls and 2 strikes. And he fouled off a couple of pitches. When Gibson would look like a weak swing, but he got the bat out, he got the barrel of the bat out very quickly and had enough punch to it. When he eased that ball into the right field pavilion, and you saw Chavez Ravine go ballistic, the beautiful aspect about hearing Vin Scully say, "There's a drive hit to deep right field. She is gone." Again, the radio voice let the moment that you visually saw speak for itself. He backed away, and for the next minute, I don't think he commented after he said she is gone. I don't think he commented until about, I think, when the Dodgers were ready to bounce off of home plate and go back to their dugout. He let the crowd do the talking, basically. This guy was an absolute professional. An absolute professional. He started with the Dodgers in 1950. Of course, they weren't in LA at the time. They were in Brooklyn. And if I'm not mistaken, I think he was a Brooklynite himself. So he was the voice of the Dodgers way back in 1950. He moved out west when the team did. And there was a lot of wonderful moments that he called. He called 21 no-hitters. He called 3 perfect games. He called many a World Series. And he also had the ability, he was so good, he had the ability to be a one-man booth where he was not only the play-by-play guy, he was also the color guy too. And he did this while he was in his 80s. So this guy was brilliant. He was brilliant in his craft, brilliant in what he did, brilliant in how he brought forth and brought you to what we were going to witness. The Dodgers said this in a statement with his passing. And it's some wonderful, poignant words about a wonderful talent in Vin. Quote, "He was the voice of the Dodgers and so much more. He was their conscience, their laureate, capturing their beauty and chronicling their glory from Jackie Robinson to Sandy Koufax, Kirk Gibson to Clayton Kershaw. Vin Scully was the heartbeat of the Dodgers, and in so many ways, the heartbeat of all of Los Angeles." Close quote. We all have wonderful moments, Vin, and from a fan in me, and I'm sure I speak for Brian when I say this, job well done. Thank you for shaping and forming many of my early moments of loving baseball and even loving football. And you will be missed. You were missed when you called your last game in 2017 when you rode literally out into the sunset in AT&T Park in San Francisco. You've been missed since then. You're missed now, and you will always be missed because there will never be another like you. And thank you, Sick, for the correction. Born in the Bronx. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, born in the Bronx, grew up in Manhattan. Thank you for that. Thank you for that, Sick. Oh, and he had to correct me again here. He says, actually, Cole, the Bronsexuals will be saying, "It's raining James." Playmaker, what's up? He says, "Morning, fellas. Drop it in right quick while at work. I'm glad you drop it in, brother. And thank you for your appearance yesterday. We're going to see him more often also on Mondays. And check out his blog and check out Rambley. Oh, gosh. I mean, there's so many things that this guy does that I'm a fan of. And Sid could not say it any better here. He says, "Mr. Scully, we salute you and may you rest in peace." And I totally agree with that sentiment. On the other side, we will be greeted by Chris Dietz, but we're going to pay our respects to the venerable, the one, the only Vin Scully. Vin Scully, Dodgers voice for 67 years, who called over 9,000 games, 21 no-hitters, and three perfect games, dead at the age of 94. And with that, we'll be back.
This is Snowman in the Morning.
Hey everybody, Snowman here. Thanks for listening to this episode of Snowman in the Morning. You can support us at Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson every time you shop for fan gear or collectibles at Fanatics. Just visit officialsitmorn.com/fanatics and click on the Fanatics logo. Then shop as planned and we'll get a commission on your sale that will help us a ton. Next time you're going to shop at Fanatics, just visit officialsitmorn.com/fanatics and support our morning show. Thanks.
Discouragement, sorrow, distance. Your arguments cause damage to your family. The hurt leads to divorce. You feel like there is nowhere else to turn. But there is hope for you. That's where we come into play. There is an overcomer that lives inside of you. One ready to take on the world as you leap for joy, living in victory. you'll grow to love yourself and others. There's life after divorce, and you can claim it today. Get Over Divorce, where your new story begins, here every Thursday on YouTube and Spreaker.
I can't do it. We'll do it live. Do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
Mister, will you please wake up?
He's a 4-time NBA champion, a 2-time league MVP, a member of our 75th anniversary team, and for the first time ever, he's an NBA Finals MVP. The 2022 Bill Russell NBA Finals MVP award goes to Stephen Curry.
This is Snowman in the Morning.
Hey, this promises to be fun.
Oh, yeah.
Can't wait.
Are you kidding me?
Do you believe it?
It's the hottest of hot takes and the coldest of cold, hard facts. Every day at 8 a.m. Eastern Time.
BS3 Network. Changing the way you watch TV.
Mister, how do you operate this Twitter thing or this Instagram thing or whatever the heck? You're supposed to know all this stuff. Anyway, welcome back to the show.
It's official SIT Morning, Dr. K. It's official SIT Morning on Twitter, on Instagram, on Twitch, and on TikTok. That's how you can reach us on official SIT Morning. Back at it, hour number 1 on this wonderful Wednesday edition of Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson. Right now, I'm writing solo. My partner will probably rejoin me soon and momentarily. And due to join me is Chris Dietz, and he's doing his Summer of Greatness. So we'll find out what more he's talking about as well. Hour number 2, at the bottom of that hour, Nurse Number Station will join us. And then the bottom of hour number 3, one of the Kentucky fans du jour, Stacy Purcell. She would join us then. And at the top of hour number 2 will be Bronsexual Confessions. But in lieu of all that, so there was talk about possible discrimination when it comes to black quarterbacks in the NFL due to this independent clause contract that was put in and then rescinded by the Cardinals, addressing it to Kyle Murray. Now, this is an issue because, of course, the NFL has had, how can I say this, a weak, a torn, a blind eye approach to the quarterback position. Because I would say in other areas in NFL too, but basically leadership positions, quarterback, head coach, general manager, and ownerships. So there's been this long-held stereotype that folks of my hue couldn't be in leadership positions because they wouldn't be respected. Yes, when I was young, I actually heard that. Where did I hear that? I heard that when the Oilers were trying to get Warren Moon into Houston, and many Houstonians and many in the Oilers organization actually felt that way. Messed up how that is, right? So there was a comment by Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes where he felt it was strange that this criticism always kept happening to them in a way that it doesn't with any others. In fact, I'll let his word speak for itself and not mine. Quote, it's always weird when you see guys like me, Lamar Jackson, and Kyler Murray kind of get that on them when other guys don't. But at the same time, we're going to go out there and prove ourselves every day to show that we can be some of the best quarterbacks in the league. Close quote. Now, I'll sum this up really quickly. I don't think you have an issue anymore when it comes to black QBs being in the league. The issue now is more teaching the position correctly. And we're seeing the position not being taught correctly because you have many coaches, quite frankly, who are being lazy. In fact, my next guest, who has alluded to this yesterday when it came to the presence of defense being buoyed by masterminds of defense coordinators and head coaches who have defensive mentality and defensive skill sets. The position of quarterback is not being taught properly in all levels. And now we're seeing it not being coached up properly or taught properly in the NFL level. And we're seeing the athleticism be excused. Well, he may not be able to read progressions, but he can run a 4.5 40. He can escape the pocket. We don't, in my estimation, in the case of Lamar Jackson, we don't need to build an offensive line really in front of him. He can escape many of these sacks. Well, you learned, Ravens brass, how costly of a mistake that was because you saw Mr. Jackson sit on your sideline for half of last season. So to me, I don't think it's a black quarterback thing. I believe it's a position being taught incorrectly thing, and all levels need to begin to teach the position better and teach it correctly. And with that being said, I'm going to bring on my next guest, the host and producer of the Fit Down Sports Show, Mr. Chris Dietz. And he joins us now on Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson. How are you, sir?
Hey, how you doing, Cole?
Doing good, man. Doing good. All right, so what's on your mind?
What's on my mind is, everything you were just saying. I've been saying this for years. I mean, it's the easiest thing to do to get a kid and say, "Oh, you're the most talented kid." Well, you're playing quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what's happening at most levels. It's, you're the fastest, most athletic kid. Well, we're gonna hike you the ball, but we're not gonna teach you how to read quarterback. We're just gonna teach you get the ball in your hand and make a move rather than, all right, this is what's gonna happen. If this happens, you need to break the ball here. You need to read this. You need to read that. They don't teach reading defenses anymore.
No. And this is what makes it funnier when you say that. So these quarterbacks are being taught to read defenses. Meanwhile, these defenses are becoming more and more complex, and they're getting taught better and better by great defensive minds. So we're starting to have a disparity here where, the game's getting faster, and these programs in colleges and these teams in NFL, they're drafting faster guys on defense to counteract the athleticism of the quarterback position and other positions on the field too. correct me if I'm wrong, because you've watched this sport just about as long as I have. To me, the way you would defeat these great standout studs and athletes all over the field is if you have the mental capacity to play chess with them while you're seeing the others play checkers, because that is what the quarterback's position is supposed to be. It's supposed to be basically a coach on the field.
I said it on another show yesterday. It's what makes football great is that it's chess, not checkers.
Right.
You know, and we're gonna learn that. And I said it in regards to we were talking about Debo Samuel.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Debo Samuel had a great year last year.
Yeah, he did.
Debo Samuel's done a good job of, being a hybrid, kind of like running back.
Mm-hmm.
That works. We've seen it. Debo Samuel's not the first one to do this. He's not the first one to do that. We've seen guys like Percy Harvin. We've seen guys like, Tyreek Hill did it a little bit. We've seen other guys try to do that. And what's happened is they've had breakout years.
Mm-hmm.
And then it takes about a year, about an off season. Defenses go back. They figure out tendencies. They figure things out. They watch film. They start to do different. They start to adjust. They adjust to what just happened. And now it's about how does the offense adjust back? How do they adjust to the adjustments to make up for it? So, that's what makes the NFL so great. That's what makes football so great, is that it's not about what you're doing today or what you did yesterday. It's about what are you going to do tomorrow when they stop what you're doing today.
Right.
And you brought up the perfect example of that. Lamar Jackson.
Mm-hmm. Lamar
Jackson was great and had an MVP type season.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in that offseason, defensive coordinators went back, watched film, learned his tendencies, and put him in positions where he can't do the thing he does best.
Right.
And they're not gonna. And I mean, it's like Bill Belichick always says, you can beat me, but I'm not gonna let you do what you do best.
Right.
I'm gonna take away what you do best, and if you beat me doing something else,
good.
That's on you.
Right.
But I'm not gonna let you throw the ball to your best receiver. I'm not gonna let you run the ball out of the pocket like that. If that's what you do best, I'm not going to let you do it.
Right.
And if you beat us because we overcompensated, that's fine.
I'm glad you mentioned that aspect of it all, because to me, that is where I start to really love football, when you have these minds, actually, like a Belichick say, you beat me, cool, but you're not gonna beat me with your best weapon, because I'm gonna eliminate that from the equation. So you're gonna have to beat me some other way. And definitely with the Brady Manning wars, the thing that I loved more than anything else, more than seeing the passes they threw, more than seeing the 2-minute drills that they executed, was basically the chess match that was unfolding between Manning and Belichick, where you saw Belichick take away what Manning wants to do, which is, okay, there's going to be checks where he goes to somebody no matter what. And so you had Belichick coach up the secondary and the linebackers to say, eliminate every check that he has and force him to be an athlete. And then you see Manning look at all this and say, okay. So Belichick wants to take away all the reads I have, and he wants to force me basically to tuck the ball in and run. Well, I'm not going to do that, but I got to still find a way to beat him. And then he does that. So they run a little more, and they decide to spread the field out just a little bit more and a little differently. And the chess match was on, and you saw how each guy would get the better of the other by not beating them with their best weapon. And I got a thrill out of seeing that. In the game that's played today, I'm not getting that same thrill because it's real simple. It's okay if you have a bright defensive mind that has the stud athletes on their sidelines, like Todd Bowles with the Bucks, like Brian Flores when he was with the Dolphins, for two prime examples. You can have the prime athletes and create the right schemes, and you can mess up the world of an athletically gifted quarterback, because all you got to do is make the pocket uncomfortable for him, and then basically pin him in the pocket and say, you're not gonna break right, you're not gonna break left, because we got a man here, we got a man here, and we're coming up the middle too. So you're gonna have to get rid of the ball. You're going to have to do something that you don't want to do, which is to actually go through your progressions and check down and find the right guy. And in seeing that, I'm not liking the game from that aspect, because I'm not seeing the offense counter what the defense is doing.
Well, then it's on a guy. I mean, then it's on a guy like a Sean McVay,
right,
to draw up the type of offense that we're going to use to counteract those blitzes. We're gonna be in shotgun. We're gonna get the ball out quickly. We're gonna move the ball side to side rather than north to south, and try to build a crease. So there are all of those. It's very. What it is in today's game is the changes are very subtle, because everybody is doing pretty much the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the problems with the NFL, because the NFL is cookie cutter.
Yeah.
And offensively, you see everybody's doing pretty much the same thing offensively.
Right.
I mean, you can almost set your clock to it. Like, guys are going to be in shotgun 95% of the time.
Right.
Guys are looking to throw the ball first.
Right.
Throw the ball first instead of run it.
Mm-hmm.
So there are a lot of those, a lot of similarities, especially on offense. The difference comes on defense.
Right.
And because not everybody can run a defense. Not everybody can run the same kind. Not everybody can run the kind of defense Todd Bowles has, because they don't have the three safeties that Todd Bowles has.
Right.
Not everybody can run the defense that Miami ran, because they didn't have the corners. They didn't have the ball hawks that Miami has.
Mm-hmm.
New England, they don't scheme. New England doesn't care who you are.
Mm-mm.
It's one of the things that that when they were taught when your guest was talking yesterday about his top 5 list,
mm-hmm.
it was one of the things that stuck in my head. Defense. A lot of people, the Chargers got new players. Okay, they got new players, but they're still playing the same scheme. They're still playing the same scheme. So whether those players, there are two teams that when you talk defense, if they're not in your top 5, then I don't know what you're talking about. That's the Patriots. Because Bill Belichick will always have them in the right defense.
Yeah, the scheming, and along with that, not only are his schemes great, but he's willing to chuck a game plan at halftime and come up with a new one.
And Mike Tomlin and the Steelers.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody likes to forget that the Steelers didn't. the Steelers made the playoffs last year.
Yeah, they did.
The Steelers made the playoffs last year, and their offense was horrific,
to say the least.
Their defense, TJ Watt almost set the record in sacks.
Mm-hmm.
They get after the quarterback. The Steelers just continue to do what the Steelers do, and this will be the most challenge. I mean, this will be the first Mike Tomlin season without Ben Roethlisberger.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see if that record of never having a losing season. We'll see how that goes with a rookie quarterback. But a lot of that is going to depend on the defense.
Oh, of course.
And Mike Tomlin's going to put that out there, and again that they're if you're not mentioning the Steelers and the Patriots anytime you do a top 5 defense, it doesn't matter what era you're looking at, they're both going to be there.
Yeah, because that's both teams' calling cards, especially with both coaches. Yeah, that's a really good point. To the chat we go. D Scott, what's up, brother? Yo, yes sir. And Sick says hello to you, Sick. As I started this point, he said, unfortunately, QBs aren't being taught how to play psychological games. Mental warfare on and off the field is crucial. Yes, it is. And it most certainly is. Ryan says, David Meggett is one of those hybrid position guys that you were talking about earlier on offense in the early 90s. And he also played for the Giants. Yeah. Loved how he was. He basically formed what you call now the scat back, because that was not in existence before him. And he created that position after because of his play. Six says, playing the latest NFL Madden on Xbox or PlayStation doesn't substitute watching game footage. And I personally thought, and I actually think a lot of people think because they play extensive amount of Madden that they can actually know how to break down the game. Like, no, if you haven't coached it or played it, how can you? Six says, how many QBs are taught how to think outside the box? Well, I think we're starting to see now, man, very few, or fewer, I should say, are. Sick also says offensive coordinators need to take proactive steps in the offseason and add more tools and strengthen the ones they have. Could not agree more. Yes, Sick, I totally agree with that.
What they're not being taught is they're being taught how to play a certain way.
Right.
From a very young
age.
You watch some of these shows,
mm-hmm.
and I've seen it as a coach at a high school.
Mm-hmm.
You look at some of these peewee programs.
Mm-hmm.
They're teaching a scheme right out of the gate.
Mm-hmm.
So they're learning one way to play quarterback.
Yeah.
And that's it. And that's it. If it's not the list, they're not being taught. They're not being taught, like I was back in the day. Of, all right, guys, huddle up. All right, the rock is you. You're the stick.
Mm-hmm.
Here you go.
Right.
You go this way. You go that way. And I'm gonna cut back up the middle. Like they're not being taught to think about the play.
Mm-hmm.
About what to do. They're being told, here's what you do. You don't have to think. You don't have to think. It's maniacal. If this happens, you do this. If this happens, you do that. Rather than being taught, all right, let's play. Let's do this. You go there. You do this.
Mm-hmm.
Go there. Do that.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're not being taught critical thinking.
Right.
They're being taught how to think, not why they're thinking.
Why they're thinking it. Yeah. That shit not even taught how to think. They just they're being taught what to do instead of being taught how to think.
Yeah, exactly.
And what you have just spelled out right there, my friend, is what you call the run pass option, and that is how quarterbacks are being taught from Pee Wee League We're not even talking about college or high school or even junior high. From Pee Wee League, that is how these quarterbacks today are being taught. And it's not a color thing. It's not a color thing because I'm seeing more non-black quarterbacks being taught how to play that way, and you start to see them play in that vein. Josh Allen is a prime example of that. So in that vein, it makes me cringe because I'm thinking to myself, you all really, just in the way that you're supposed to protect the sport, you're not teaching. Critical thinking is definitely what they're not teaching too, but you're not teaching these guys how to protect themselves because you're not caring if they do. You're just happy that they can run fast, and they might have an arm like Michael Vick that could just wing it without proper technique 60 yards downfield. Well, there's more to the quarterback position. I mean, it's more to football, period. But it's more to the quarterback position than running fast and throwing the ball deep. There's a whole lot more to it, because you have to find a way to make the other 10 guys if he's a quarterback, the other 10 guys on his offense viable. And if you're going to eliminate just about every one of them on there, then what's the point in running? What's the point in having an offense? Because you don't necessarily need to have blockers in front. You don't necessarily need to have wide receivers because you're not going to throw to them. And you don't need tight ends. All you need is just simply a guy who could just run fast. That's not in keeping with how the game is supposed to go. It's supposed to be 11 guys on one side who together move the ball, or as Hank Strand would say, matriculate the ball down the field against 11 guys who were wanting to stop you from doing that. And until we get back to that on offense, and I agree with you, in the offseason, you got to have these offense coordinators retool themselves and give themselves more tools to teach their offenses how to properly dissect these defenses, because these defenses are doing a wonderful job dissecting these, quite simply put, basic offenses. Basic. To that, what do you have to say?
To the bit, I mean, you saw it. You saw it last year. I mean, Sean McVay. Look at the 4 teams that were in. Look at the 4 teams that were in the conference finals,
mm-hmm.
in the conference championship games.
Mm-hmm.
The Chiefs, the Bengals,
mm-hmm.
the Rams, and the 49ers.
Mm-hmm.
All teams with offensive head coaches,
right?
And all teams that use multiple sets.
Right.
They're all the teams that don't sit there and do nothing.
Right.
They're all the teams that when the defense does, they do A. When the defense
mm-hmm.
does B, they change up to C, and that's the mold that everybody's gonna look to.
Mm-hmm.
And the difference is, not a lot of people have you have to have the weapons to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And to further this on to a story, I don't know if you guys saw it yesterday. I did. And you can't tamper with anybody.
Oh yeah, as the Dolphins found out.
Like the Miami Dolphins found out, and it was funny. I was on another podcast. I was on with Rod yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Literally said on the air, I said, "This Miami regime is the dumbest. They're the dumbest people alive." Right when we signed off the podcast is when they dropped the 2-year suspension.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, you can't make this up.
No.
Like We literally just talked about this.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, all right. Well, let's go there then. All right. So you have a situation where on 3 separate occasions you had, I can't believe that they felt brazen to do this more than once. 3 separate occasions that, they tried to influence Tom Brady to go there. They tried to influence Sean Payton to go there. And quite frankly, I think both made the right decisions in not wanting to entertain one to be in that stew and the mess. And of course, this is before the Brian Flores thing. I really believe, I seriously believe that you have an owner in Stephen Ross, who I put him on par with Cal McNair, the owner of the Texans, where football doesn't mean anything to them. It's almost as if the team is a bargaining chip and a business, and that's how they operate and that's how they run. And if they have bright football minds below them, cool. If they don't, that's cool too. But just as long as they have the bragging rights of saying, I own an NFL franchise, that's all that matters to them. That is what Stephen Ross strikes me as being. And I'll be doggone if we're seeing this majority owner of the team trying to run a franchise that was once proud to the ground. This is the franchise that used to have Don Shula as their head coach and Dan Marino as the quarterback. And this is the team that had a perfect season 50 years ago. You would not think that this is a franchise that is storied and rich in winning and tradition with how this Keystone Cops relationship that Stephen Ross seems to have with his team operates. Yeah, I agree with you. The Dolphins are, if not one of the dumbest organizations in football. And it frustrates me that we have this type of regime at the top.
I mean, we're not even at the worst of this yet.
No.
We're just at the beginning. We haven't even gotten to the head coach saying
Mm-hmm.
They were paying me to lose.
Paying me $100,000 to lose. Every game I lost, I would get one. He would say I would be offered $100,000. I'm like, wow.
that we haven't even gotten to that aspect of it yet, because the NFL doesn't even want. They don't even want to comprehend it because they know it happened.
Mm-hmm.
The NFL knows it happened, and they know there's nothing they can do about it except. It's just going to make our league look bad. It's just going to make these guys look even more foolish than they already are.
And I think that's what it is right there.
The only way to and I totally disagree with what the NFL did here. Taking away draft pick, like, why are you taking away draft picks for things that the front office did? Like, leave the draft picks and find the owner a ridiculous amount of money,
right?
And make the owner pay out of pocket,
right there.
You don't make and because the fans didn't do, the fans of the team didn't do this,
so they shouldn't suffer. I agree with you.
The fans shouldn't have to sit there. And if Miami if Miami has a disastrous season and they decide to tank it for whoever the next guy is, because remember they tanked for Tua, and then right behind, and then they get Tua, he almost leads them to a playoff. He almost leads them to the playoffs,
and they want him to tank. They want to tank with him,
and then all of a sudden, middle of the season, should we get Deshaun Watson? Like. You have a quarterback you tanked for. Go win with the guy you just tanked for him.
I found that to be ridiculous. I'm like, I was with you. I'm like, you drafted your quarterback. Why are you in the market for another? Ugh, yeah. So this is the life of the Miami Dolphins. So But
and I got burnt. I'll tell you, I bought it hook, line, and sinker last year. I took Miami. It's not happening again. They got to show me before I'm gonna believe in them again.
Yeah. And look, I know they've retooled their offense over the offseason. I know that they're probably going to be more exciting, and they probably will make more noise than they did in the previous 2 years, where they seem to make hard pushes toward the end of each season. But I just, man, this is a prime example of when you have poor leadership, it just reflects poorly on the rest of the organization. And you asked the wonderful question, why would they take away draft picks? They should fine the owner an exorbitant amount of money. They figure this is the NFL, though the wisdom that they have, they figure, well, we probably can't go completely into the ownership pocket. We'll hurt them where it probably will hurt worse, and that's with draft picks. And in my opinion, they are afraid, and I'm talking about the Shield, they are afraid to say, you know something, your team earned about $250 million this year. You probably pocketed half of it. Yeah. Why don't you just simply come off of about $70 million this year? They don't want to do that.
They're totally afraid, and they think it's a punish. Like it's not a punishment.
Mm-mm.
You took my draft pick, so what? I still own the team. I still make $70 million
right
off the team.
Right.
Where's the punishment? The only one who gets punished is the fans who have to sit there and watch their team dribble in mediocrity. So it's not an effective deterrent. Yeah, it doesn't do anything. So I don't know.
And the only effective deterrent would be if you just ushered him, or in certain cases her, like in the Saints and the Bills, out of majority ownership or ownership period. But you already know how difficult that is. Just look to Washington.
Just look to any friend. I mean, Washington, the corruption that's been going on behind the scenes in Washington has been systemic, and it's the funny thing about it. The funny thing about that is it's been known for about 10 years now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's been known. The league has been investigating it for 10 years, and they haven't done anything.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't done anything to change it.
They've
sat there, they've investigated, they've watched it, and they've gone, "Oh, here's what you guys have done." And there's only one person. There's only one person I know of that's been affected by those investigations, and that was John Gruden.
Mm-hmm.
For things he said when he was not a part of the National Football League.
Right. Right. Here's the messed up part about that, though. The league wasn't willing to move on him until you had someone in Congress say, yeah, we need to investigate this. And then all of a sudden, oh, yeah, okay, now we need to slap the wrist, and we need to get the other ownership groups together and put this to a vote if we're going to force him, talking about Daniel Snyder, out of being the owner of the Washington Commanders. Until this year, your point is 100% valid. The NFL was like, okay, we did our investigation. This is what we found. Okay, boy, we know Daniel Snyder's a louse. Okay, big deal. Woo. All right, is he losing money for us? No. Okay, well, he's good. He's the helm of the third most profitable franchise in NFL. Well, we good. We're good. That's how ridiculous the NFL is with this.
They rally around their own. We all know the NFL ownership group is a boys club.
Mm-hmm.
you'll see it. It's why they have the rules set up the way they do, so that anyone who wants to get in or out has to go through. Well, I mean, anybody who's a comic book fan will understand this this reference, but you have the Illuminati pretty much in the NFL ownership group, and those people have to sign off on whether you can leave your franchise and who can buy it. And if that group doesn't sanction it, it doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the NFL Illuminati is Jerry Jones, Robert Kraft, and it used to be the Steelers.
Yeah, the Rooney family. Yeah,
but I think that torch has been passed to the Giants.
Oh yeah, 100%. The Mara family. Oh yes,
the Mara family. The Mara family's got to be in on it.
No question.
And it would probably be the Rooneys, if you were to take a four man group.
Yeah,
those are the four guys that you have to basically go to them and say, we can't handle. We want to sell our franchise, and they'll make it happen, and they'll find the guy that they want to come in and replace you.
Yeah, and that's how they have. You're right. That is how they have rolled.
And that's why the NFL acts the way they do. That's the reason they do a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, speaking of case in point, that's why Deshaun Watson happened the way it did.
Yep.
And I don't know. I'm so messed up with all these people coming out of the woodworks that are all of a sudden experts on the situation, experts on the NFL didn't punish him enough.
Hard enough.
The NFL didn't punish him hard enough, so we're going to do it. We're going to do it ourselves. The NFL is not a punishment. They don't have a punishment for this.
Yeah.
And actually, just give me 1 second, Cole. I just have to run and get my phone because I have it set up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The funny thing about the punishment is you're seeing all these people saying, "Oh my God, what they didn't punish enough." I want to read something because I sent you an article from Sports Illustrated, which was absolutely disgusting. Mm-hmm. Absolutely disgusting, where the author said exactly what I said. Since the league didn't punish him, we have to do it as media members and fans. And I said, no, that's not our job.
No,
it's not our job to punish anyone. It's not our job. Am I saying go out and cheer for Deshaun Watson? Absolutely not. But you don't need to actively get involved in anything that this guy does. And then you read down the line, and it says Watson's punishment, and it talks about Watson, and it says Watson, who was charged. It actually says in the article, it says Watson, who was charged with 23 counts of sexual assault. And I'm like, wait. First off, everything about that statement is wrong.
Wrong.
He was not charged at all.
He
was accused.
Right.
He was accused, and I want to read. I want to read this. I want to read this off the gate because I had it brought up. Mm-hmm. The judge actually said in the first line. This is why I hate these people that took their bias and took their what he did is so bad. The judge said in her first line, if you read her paper, it says, Mr. Watson did not commit any form of violent behavior in his actions as per the depositions left to this end, or whatever, she said it in whatever legal jargon.
Mm-hmm.
But that line right there, it was not sexual assault because he did not victimize anybody. What he did was horrendous human behavior.
Yes. No question.
But he did not physically violate any form. And it said she went out of her way. The judge went out of her way to make that statement. And the NFL, reading this statement, the NFL knew they weren't going to get what they were going for. They knew it right off the bat because they were lying through their teeth. They were lying from the minute they walked in. And I'm wondering, like, if they met with the judge, she must have known that they were lying. Or if they sent her depositions and she must have read them, like sitting there in her office drinking her coffee and like doing spit takes with how bad their lies were. I mean, we talked about it on this program. We talked about Big Ben's situation. The NFL actually told the judge, because when the judge said, you're coming at this with unprecedented claims, I have to go back and see what similar cases look like. The NFL actually had the balls to say to the judge, there's no similar cases. We've never seen anything. We've never seen anything like this. What? You've never seen anything like this? Ben Roethlisberger happened. Last time I checked, you're talking about Deshaun Watson, a guy who flashed his member. There was a quarterback in New York who did the exact same thing to a team official
with a magic towel.
So don't sit there and tell me that there's not similar cases. Are there circumstances in this? Absolutely. Are there circumstances that make this different? Everyone has different circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
But you still have to go back to the source material and say, all right, well, you gave this guy, you gave Brett Favre a 3-game suspension for the towel incident.
Mm-hmm.
How do you stretch that to a full year for Deshaun when you look at Deshaun Watson? Because when you look at the incidences, one happened on an NFL facility and there was clear damage. The other one, there's ambiguity. We something happened, but we don't know what.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's where the judge said, I have to go back and see what similar cases got, and then apply it to the circumstances here. And that just had I couldn't believe the NFL would have the balls to say, no, nothing like this has ever happened. I just gave you examples, and I'm sure there's about 25 more. I'm sure there's things that happen on a daily basis in the NFL.
Oh,
I'm just giving you the high profile cases,
mm-hmm.
But it was ridiculous.
I think the reason why they were saying that this was unprecedented was because of the number of women who went to sue him. And I think that is probably what threw them off. But yes, if you look at the situation, they've handled a sexually inappropriate NFL player before. You're correct. I mean, heck, they've had one who did worse than Deshaun and didn't punish him. And when they wanted to, the guy decided to retire. You know him as Josh Brown. And for those that don't know, he was a kicker for the Giants. And you have these instances, but the NFL wants to basically have their hands off. Like okay. Ryan posts this. He says, The NFL deferred Watson's punishment to a third-party arbitrator because they didn't want to deal with being called racist or misogynistic. Now, true to that, but also it was a collective bargain thing because the NFLPA was looking at the NFL and basically what you just outlined, Chris, in saying that you all seem to have this wild, wild west approach to punishment. So you can have one guy do the exact same thing as another and get punished differently, and you can have one guy do this one thing and get punished one way, and a guy do something that's probably considered more egregious and not get punished as severely. For example, Calvin Ridley, the probably former now Falcons wide receiver who basically got caught gambling $1,500, but he had to sit out a full year.
Well, I talked about this the other day. You can sit there and because Sports Illustrated tried to do this in the first instance, Sports Illustrated tried to do this where they said you're going to suspend Watson for this, and you're going to suspend him 6 games, and Ridley gets a full. Here's the difference. The difference between the two is it is clearly stated in NFL law, if you are caught gambling on games in progress while you are participating, it's a full year suspension. It's in bold letters in the law.
Oh, I understand that. Yeah.
They don't. So, but this is what I'm explaining. I'm explaining this to Sports Illustrated because they don't seem to understand that. They don't understand how to read because they don't understand how the law works. Mm-hmm. It is written in there. There's no wiggle room. Mm-hmm. There's no wiggle room for the NFL. They can't come out and say, you know what, you gambled. You only gambled $1,500. Like. It's not that much. So we'll do a couple games. We'll do a couple games, when somebody else comes in and they bet a couple $1 million and they're like, no, you bet millions, so we're going to hit you harder. No, it's a blanket policy. If you are caught gambling, you are gone for a year. Period. End of discussion. End of it.
Which that makes me laugh even more. And I get why gambling is frowned upon, integrity of the game. I understand.
The merits of the law. I mean, you have the NFL. You literally have a gambling commercial every commercial break. Mm-hmm. Whether it's DraftKings, whether it's Play Responsibly from the NFL, whether it's another one of these sites, and any one of these. You basically every time, and the NFL is built on gambling.
Yeah,
right. Let's just be honest.
And has been for as long as we both can remember. It has.
It's the easiest sport to gamble on. Mm-hmm. It's the easiest. It makes it the most fun. Mm-hmm. when you're gambling on the NFL, and again, it makes it fun if you treat it that way. Mm-hmm. If you treat it as this is how I'm gonna make my money for the month, then it's not gonna be fun for you, and that's when you need to seek professional help. Mm-hmm. But for everybody that I know that plays and why we do it on Fit Down Sports Show, we pick every game against the spread. Mm-hmm. Why? Because of gambling. Because gambling is out there and it's there. But it's specifically written in there, do not gamble on games while you are participating. It's clear as day.
And also what's clear as day, and I'm so glad you said that, and also what's clear as day is anything that is considered conduct detrimental to the league for first-time offenders. Because if you were to do that, you'd be suspended. Guess how many games? 6. So that's also written in the bylaws of the NFL. But again, like you said, people don't read.
They not only don't read that, they didn't read her description of the case.
Right.
Because the judge basically told you everything you need to know.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing was violent. Mr. Watson was cooperative in every aspect of the case. Some of the testimony was concurrent, as in the women didn't have their statements lined up, where one person was saying this, one person was saying that, and they were contradicting each other.
They're contradictory.
So we saw all of that.
Mm-hmm.
We saw all that stuff, and these people just want to focus on their one aspect of it. Of nope, it was sexual assault, so it has to be right. When we don't know what happened.
Here's what they want to focus on, though. They want to focus on there's 23 women he settled with. Oh, how you doing, Andrew? And how you doing, Rod? How you doing, brother? How you doing, Rod? How you doing, Andrew? People are thinking there's 23 women he settled with, and there's a 24th woman that he still hasn't settled with. And normally when you have this happen, people are thinking, well, okay, so he said he was going to fight this, but how do you fight this? By paying for their silence, that type of thing. It's like, okay, well, there's smoke, there's fire, and there's 23 of them that this guy paid off. And so they're thinking, 23 women who, as you said, legally, Deshaun Watson was sexually inappropriate to, but they don't read inappropriate. They read injurious in inappropriate spot. That he was sexually injurious, which of course it leads people to think rape. It leads people to think molestation. It leads people to think these other things instead of what the court records state.
He was gonna fight this. He was gonna fight them tooth or nail when the penalties against him were as large as could be.
Right.
That's what happened.
Right.
That's what happened.
Right.
That's the facts of what happened.
Right.
Is when it was you have the possibility of jail time. He was saying, no, we're going to fight this, and we're going to fight it all the way. Mm-hmm. Well, when grand jury number 1 came back and said there's not enough evidence, they said, all right, shook hands, did what they had to do. Mm-hmm. When grand jury number 2 came back and they said, we don't have enough, they said, all right, two times, they're not going to come at us a third time.
In a different county, I may add.
They're not going to embarrass themselves again. So we're probably in the clear on criminal charges. Now let's focus on the NFL charges. Mm-hmm. Then the NFL starts coming through, and what are you gonna do for Deshaun Watson? Oh, yeah, 6 months, 6 games. Let's get this cleared up. All right, settle all these cases. Let's get these settled out of the way. Get the 6-game suspension over with, and we'll be done.
Mm-hmm. And where
the judge actually said he's done his time. He's paid his rest. He's paid restitution. What more do you want him to do?
And that's why he didn't get fined, right?
And that's why he didn't get fined. He didn't get fined by the NFL. He didn't get anything. All he gets is suspended game checks. And that he got what he wanted. So why fight this out? Why drag this out in court for another year, 2 years, and keep this on everybody's mind when you can just, all right, let's settle, get this out of the way.
This is why I love you, man. You take it case by case basis, and you take every detail and you dissect it point by point by point. I could talk to someone else and they will already paint Deshaun with the broad brush if he's a criminal. Forget the fact that yes, he went to two, and his case got heard by 2 different grand juries, and they said, well, no, it's insufficient evidence to even charge him with one of these to be criminal. To have that understanding and have that completely out the way, but people still paint him with the broad brush of, well, he's a criminal. It makes conversations like this not possible.
And think about what Sports Illustrated is saying when they say we need to enact punishment on Deshaun Watson. Punishment for what? The guy you wanted him not to be able to go to work. Like, if this were a normal person and they were charged with a crime and they went to and they showed up at your work the next day, you wouldn't sit there and go, you know what? You can't come in the office. You can't come in the office till you get all this cleared up. Like, you would go, sit down, do your job, and when your court date comes, we'll figure everything out.
Right.
Like, his job just happens to be playing football.
Yeah.
It's not the job of the NFL to punish him. It's not the job of the NFL to investigate this any further than what's there. Like, that's what I don't understand about these people is they wanted the NFL to find something. How's the NFL going to find something that authorities didn't?
They couldn't.
Right?
Yeah.
The people of Houston, the people in the Houston DA's office, they wanted to put him away more than anybody.
Of course.
And they couldn't find a smoking gun. They couldn't find anything to even bring it to. They couldn't even find enough to bring it to a case.
Right.
And the judge here said the same thing of the evidence doesn't match. There's conflicting stories. And nobody knows what happened in that room except for the people that were in there.
Yeah.
And that's why you have to look at the cases. That's why you have to look at every single thing and not come to a conclusion and not be a publication that, I mean, seriously, Sports Illustrated used to be the mecca of
sports news. Yeah.
You know, every week you were going to your newsstand. You know, if you didn't have it come into the front door, every week you were going to the newsstand to get a Sports Illustrated because they had the best pictures, because they had the best stories about the games you had just watched, about guys that are coming up. And now you get this. Now you get garbage like this coming out from Sports Illustrated of pure activism, rather than journalism. And it's sad. Yeah. It's a sad state of affairs. And it's people like that need to be put in their place. Like, all it took was 2 minutes. 2 minutes for me to sit down and read the response of the judge. And everything this guy said in the Sports Illustrated article was thrown out.
Yeah.
In 2 lines.
And what sucks about that? No, and what sucks about that is it leaves you and me, who actually are real journalists, it leaves us with the understanding of when people talk about media in a negative sense, they look at us and they think, well, this is representative of all of you. And it's not. It's not. Ah, man, I could talk about this.
I like that quote from Ryan.
Oh, I do too.
Ryan, though.
Journalism. I love it too, and I'm gonna steal that, Ryan.
That's definitely going to be one. That's definitely going to be a keeper.
Man, I would love to talk further about this with you, man, because you already know we could chop this up for hours. But I know you have to run. Where can people find you on the Fifth Down Sports Show, sir?
We'll be on tomorrow night. I'm shooting for 9. I'm shooting for 9 o'clock. So we'll be doing 9 to 11 because there's no football yet. So
Right.
no sense in rushing it.
Right.
But yeah, we're gonna take this story right up to Sports Illustrated. We're gonna take the article on, take the author on, and we're gonna take everything that he said and rip it apart, just as we did here. But we're gonna do it with the precision that it needs to be, because this kind of stuff needs to stop.
Oh yeah, because it's
fine.
cancerous to our business.
Fine if you want to. It's fine if you want to say this is not enough punishment, and he should be punished more. It's another thing to say he's not punished enough, and we need to punish him.
Yeah.
No, you're the media. You report. You don't make yourself part of the story.
Yeah, because you're not. Yeah.
Because you're not, and you never will be.
And you never will be, and nor should you be. Right.
You're not going to be able to hold anybody. You're not going to be able to hold anything to anyone, because you're not part of this.
Right.
I always hate that people that they try to weasel their way in. You're not part of this.
Right.
You're just supposed to react to what's happening and tell us what's happening and what's happened before.
Right.
So we can judge what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's your job.
Yeah. And that's how it's supposed to be.
And as Bill Belichick says, do your job.
Yeah.
We started with talking about Bill, and it usually ends with a Bill quote as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's true. And we have to be mirrors to society, not try to participate with them as holding the pen. Chris Dietz, as he joins us every Wednesday and many other times too. Fifth Down Sports Show, brethren. And it's always a pleasure to talk with you, man.
Absolutely. And guys, if you're in the chat, if you haven't already, head on over Fifth Down Sports Show, sign up, subscribe, and hit those like buttons, because then you'll get when we post our video, it'll come right to you. And you don't even have to worry about checking us out. And anybody that's out there, share the video. You can take any of my videos and share them to whoever you want, wherever, whenever you want. We're not picky here.
That's good to hear. Chris Dietz, great to join you, man. Great to talk with you as always. And we're going to talk again next week.
Always fun, man. We'll talk if not before then.
Definitely. All right, man. And keep that thorax. I love it, bro.
Absolutely.
All right. Chris Dietz joining us here, and from one wonderful person to another, it is now time for our weekly health tip with Nurse Namastasia. Welcome to Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson.
I love that. Good morning. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing fine. I cannot complain. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Where's Brian? Is he okay?
Well, he said he has something troubling with his stomach, and he's had to tend to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah, he was on earlier this morning, and
okay.
If he leaves, that you'll know why, and he's departed, but he definitely sends his regards, and he says hello to you as well. All right, so what is your tip for this week?
So I said to Brian, all right, what are we talking about? And I think he said something about food, how it affects your body, right? Mm-hmm. Something like that. Hold on. Let me so I know exactly what we're talking about. Listen. Okay. Yes. Listening to your body.
Oh, nice.
Oh my goodness. Listening to your body. Your body is your temple, and your body is going to start giving you little warning signs. And if you don't listen to those little subtle warning signs, you're going to get the 2x4 over your head, and you're going to get a smackdown. So learn to listen to your body. Yeah.
Now, I never heard any nutritionist say it that way. but
I'm not a nutritionist.
I know you're not one, but but I think if nutritionists spoke that way, I think we probably take more heed to them. Uh,
Probably.
okay, so yeah. So what are ways that your body tells you in your estimation? What are ways the body
Aches,
tells
pains,
you that okay, this food is not good for you?
ending up on the toilet, diarrhea, aches and pains, joint pain. It's like I tell Brian, sugar and processed food truly is the devil. I mean, you can do anything in moderation, but if you're feeling pretty crappy, why don't you look at what you're eating and kind of, scale back a little bit and try introducing healthier foods? But your body will let you know. Your body will tell you if it's not happy with you.
Yeah, I've been convicted because I do eat not only a lot of sugar and processed foods, but I do eat my fair share.
80-20. 80% good, 20% okay.
Yeah.
You gotta live. You gotta live a little
true.
bit.
Right. True. Now, I don't have full meals of it, but but yeah, I do have that issue. So if I were to think about certain foods that actually would be good for me and my body listens to it, what are those foods, and what are those foods for you?
So I had to learn the hard way. 4 years ago, I was literally living on sweet tea and fried chicken. And I had a horrible, stressful job. I was working 12-hour shifts, and I just was not feeling good. So for me, I know if I want to go home and eat a pint of Ben and Jerry's because I'm sad, I'm going to pay for it for a couple of days with the joint pain. My body is not going to be happy. So I just have to really, watch everything that I'm eating. For me, I do better when I'm drinking a lot of water. And don't get me wrong, I love a Diet Coke. I mean, I just crave a Diet Coke every now and then. I haven't had one in probably 4 years because it's just not healthy for me. But I just have to watch how my body reacts to certain foods. Just because 300 people tell you, oh, eat oranges, eat apples, it doesn't matter. You have to go based on what your body feels and how your body reacts to certain foods. Everyone is different. We all have, we're all different, but we have to figure out what foods work for us. And I can't eat a lot of sugar. I just can't.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like crap.
Well, see, it's funny you say that. For me, it's anything pork. So yeah. So I'm looking at all of these commercials, both television and print or digital now, and I'm seeing everything inundated with bacon or inundated with ham or inundated with sausage. And I'm like, I can't have any of that simply because, and it's funny when I describe this to people, they look at me like I have a third eye on my head. I'm like, as soon as anything pork touches my tongue, my mouth says, no, spit it out. And if you don't believe me, eat something that is disagreeable with you, your salival glands will go completely berserk.
Yeah.
And it will force you to spit it out. And that is how I am with its ham or sausage or pepperoni, anything, or bologna, anything pork related, I cannot have.
Wow. But at least you know that, so you know what to stay away from.
Yeah.
But I could eat bacon. I could wrap anything in bacon and I would wolf that down. It's so bad, but it's so good.
Yeah. Oh, I totally understand that. Now, you talked about sleeping, and now you're talking about listening to your body when it comes to food. How can the two tie together?
Well, I mean, definitely, what I like to do, I'm a big believer in intermittent fasting. So when I do this, I like to start eating at 11 a.m. and I stop at 7. So therefore my body doesn't feel very heavy before I go to bed, because if your body's really heavy, it truly is going to affect your sleeping habits and your sleeping patterns. So the days that I stop eating like around 7, I sleep better. But the days that I'm like, feel kind of stressed and I'm like, I want to go grab a bag of Doritos or something, I will not sleep well. But I did it to myself. So
yeah,
you just really have to do what works for you. And I tell Brian this all the time. Start writing down everything. If you really want to take good care of yourself, you got to watch what you're putting in your body and what foods do to you. So track your sleep patterns, track what you're eating, do it for a week, and then look at how you can make things a little better. It truly is easy if you put the work in. No one wants to feel crappy all the time, but if you get your food right and your sleep right, bonus right there.
Okay. Yeah, definitely is. Definitely is. All right. So for you, how many hours do you physically need between when you eat your last meal and when you go to sleep?
So I used to be a major princess. I would need my 8-9 hours of sleep. Yeah, and don't talk to me, until I get my 8-9 hours. But now I find that my body is changing, and I would say I'm pretty good with about 6-7 now. But I'm also an early bird. I'm up, every day. I'm up at 5 a.m. Sometimes even earlier, 3 to 4. It just depends on what time I go to bed. But I kind of like to keep the same sleep pattern through the weekends as well. Like I don't like to sleep in. What time I wake up during the week, I keep that on the weekends as well.
Okay.
It's all consistency. If you do anything consistently, your body's going to be like, oh, wait, hold on, new habit. You got to change. You got to force it. Be like, come on.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Like the job I have now, I have to get up for 5 o'clock in the morning. So at first it was hard for me because I wasn't accustomed to doing it. Now on Saturdays and Sundays, which I don't work then, if I do not wake up at around 3 or 4 or 5, something is wrong. It just is. All right. So
get it.
So nutritionists say that you need to eat 6 small-ish meals a day, and you spread it about 2.5 hours apart between each meal. Do you find that works for you, or is it like what you said earlier that you got to find what works best for you, and it doesn't have to be that?
It honestly, I do agree with the smaller meals every couple hours is better. But honestly, again, it's what works for you. For example, yesterday, I just said, you know what? I'm going to try like a water fast just for a couple days. I deal with like autoimmune stuff. So what I ended up doing was a lot of water, a lot of detox teas, and I ate 1 meal a day. And I woke up this morning, I'm like, I actually really like that. I actually felt I had a lot more energy today. So I'm going to incorporate that for a couple days. And again, I'm not, like I said, I'm not a nutritionist. Because if you can go to 5 different nutritionists, they're all going to tell you something different. You got to find what works for you. You got to find, but I feel better when I drink my water, lots of fruits, lots of veggies, and less processed, less sugar. And that works for me. I feel a lot healthier. I really do.
Man, when I think I'm not going to have a question for you, you come up with something and you hit a nugget where I have another question to ask. So, in the relation of fasting, and I've done a water fast, I've done it for 5 days, and day number 5, I will not mention. So, the types of fasting that you can do in relation to food, do you find that your body processes food better after fasts than before?
I do.
Or is it just different? Okay.
I do. I feel like it resets everything in your body. But honestly, it's very, very difficult for me to fast. I'll be lucky if I could get through 2 days. I'd want to eat Kenny and the dog. I have to be honest with you. I'm starving. Like I'm starving. But it just resets your body. So if you could do it for a couple of days, win-win. But I'm going to be honest. For me, that's really, really difficult. It's difficult for me to do a water fast. But I think the 1 meal a day is working for me. I feel like it's enough of a reset because I am feeling better. So I'm like, I'm going to try it for a couple of days. This I can do.
Okay. And look, on the record, difficult for me too. I don't say that I do water fast and brag because I've only done it once in my life.
Yeah.
It's rough. Oh my
Nothing comes easy though. If you want the change and transformation, you got to do the work.
Right.
Bottom line.
You're exactly right. So if you were to say, if you were to talk to somebody and say, okay, when you eat certain things and you listen to what your body says, you should continue and eat them. What foods do you think would be where you eat them and you feel a positive impact on what it does to your body?
Meaning how you feel after you eat like vegetables and fruits and something like that, or versus heavy foods?
Right.
Yeah, I mean it's been proven. It's scientifically proven. I mean, the leafy vegetables, the leafy greens, healthier fruits, and people think, all right, great, I can eat fruit, but if you eat a whole bag of oranges, defeating the whole purpose. Everything in moderation. Everything in moderation. And I struggle with that. I want to eat. I don't know how to stop at just one. It's like, everything in moderation. But I'm still like, I come from, food. It has to taste good. Everything has to taste good. I don't eat fish. There's certain things I just won't eat that I know are healthier for me, but I'm like, no. But I'm having more of an open mind because I know there's, fish is a little healthier for you, and I'm just like, no, thank you. But, I'm having an open mind because I'd like to do healthier things as well for my body too.
Of course. Oh yeah.
And I love steak. My God, steak. I am a steak and potatoes girl. Give me a big old T-bone, and I'm like, I will fight you for that bone.
I love steak too. Oh yeah,
I do too. And I don't know. My daughter once said I would not be able to give up steak and hamburger for 1 month. I did it years and years ago, and I have to be honest with you, I never felt better.
Yeah. I think I did a Daniel fast, and of course you don't eat meat there.
Right.
And yeah, I felt better too. Yeah, I totally understand that. Man, I need to have you on my own platform on Revelations because you are one great interview. All right, so as you see, Nurse Namaste, she joins us every Wednesday, 9:35. And tell the people where they can find you.
Stacy Pietrahita on Facebook, Stacy Pietrahita on Instagram. And that's it for right now.
Oh, I know.
And with you guys. And Brian and I are resuming our podcast when he feels better.
There you go. I was hoping you were going to say that.
And nursery rhymes. Nursery rhymes. I'm so excited for that. I can't wait.
Okay, so nursery rhymes, and of course the podcast that you do with Brian. Yeah,
Speaking our truth.
Yeah, and I look forward to seeing that come back.
Yeah. So much fun. I love that guy. He's like my brother, and we have so much fun together. And that's what life is all about.
We share that same love. Yes. Yeah, he's my brother too.
I know.
Nurse Namastasia, thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend. I can't wait to see you again next Wednesday.
Awesome, Cole. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Make it magical.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
That is Nurse Namastasia, who joins us every Wednesday at the bottom of the second hour. It's time for us to take a long overdue break, and then when we come back, oh, no. I'm so sorry. Bronsexual Confessions.
This is Snowman in the Morning.
Of course, Steph Curry, Tim Anderson, Jordan Alvarez. And it's caught! Deebo Samuel with the catch.
Michael Jordan can sense.
The Fro just got the king.
BS3 Network.
The hottest of hot takes. The coldest of cold, hard facts. This is Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson. Weekdays at 8 a.m. Eastern. Check your local listings for your viewing and listening pleasure. If you're looking for a sports program that gives you the flavor.
Washington Commanders? Really?
This whole thing stinks to high heaven.
That pulls no punches.
Thuggish act by a thuggish actor.
That gives you some humor.
Praise everything LeBron does and never criticize it.
If you want a show that gives you good times, then this is that show.
I am Cole Johnson, and welcome to
Cole Sports with the Z. Every Friday on Patreon, and every Saturday on YouTube, Spreaker, and all other outlets.
LeBron James is trash as a basketball player.
wow.
I will say that one more time.
You said it so easily.
I've been saying it for 20 years.
LeBron James came fluidly out of your mouth, like it just flowed like waters of the of a fall, just dropping off a cliff.
Oh, you mean this sentence right here?
Quote.
LeBron James as a basketball player is pure, unadulterated trash and has been for 20 years.
Close quote.
Yeah, I said that, and I'm going to say a whole lot more if you tune in every day to Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson at 8 a.m. Eastern Time.
Hey, Toe Man, we're waiting for you. This is Snowman in the Morning.
Hour number 3 of Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson begins now.
I can't do it. We'll do it live. Do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
Mister, will you please wake up?
As the Nationals are a strike away from franchise history and some World Series history. As Hudson tries to close it out. It'll be another 3-2 pitch to Michael Brantley. Hudson sets. The kick, and here it comes. Swing and a miss! Swing and a miss! Swing and a miss! And a World Series Game 7 winning Curly W is in the books. The celebration is on. The Washington Nationals are the world champions.
This is Snowman in the Morning.
Hey, this promises to be fun.
Oh, yeah.
Can't wait.
Are you kidding me? Do you believe it?
That is still like a gut punch to me, but that is 2.5, almost 3 years ago. Welcome back to Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson. Brian Snow, who is away. I am Cole Johnson. And let's show some love to the chat. I got to talk to the fam real quick. Six says, in talking about the Deshaun Watson ruling and the perception that unfortunately not just fans but media gives to somebody who has a sexual misconduct type of charge on them, but is paintbrushed as rape. He says they're trying to redefine rape, talking about media, as to go along. It's a narrative in accordance to the woke and the politically correct. It's a needless fight in court. Yeah, I agree. Ryan says the woke and PC have been trying to redefine words for years. Isn't that the truth, Ryan? Six says, unfortunately, settling a case is regarded and perceived as an admission of guilt, which isn't necessarily the case. And he also goes on to say these wokevists want to have it both ways. Ryan went on to say, man, sick, if the woke didn't have double standards, they would have no standards at all. And then he gave us a new word, Dietz and me. He says it's journalism. Chef's kiss on that one, Ryan. I love that. Andrew says, I used to get SI for a couple of few years. Then I stopped in 2019 in the beginning of their wokeness and such. I stopped reading them a little before then, but yeah, I used to get them often. And Ryan, Andrew echoes your same sentiments. Ryan says, if those journalists want to put out hit pieces with an activist slant, they go work for Vice or Deadspin. And Andrew chimes in and says, or Barstool. Ryan says, Barstool's the anti-woke I found, Andrew. Who he says, interesting. And then we had Nurse Namastasia, and she gave some wonderful tips. And Andrew says, great tips, and I agree with that, Andrew. They were. Sick says, I finally gave up eating meat all those years ago. Oh, so you're a vegetarian. And then when I accidentally hit Uncle Lori, Andrew was like, no. And Sick says, how does someone with the last name of Lightfoot seem to be heavy-handed? You probably should say seem to be heavy-faced, but that's besides the point. All right, so let's see. It's been 2 hours in. It's Wednesday. I'm forgetting to do something. I can't remember what it. Oh, I know what it is. You asked for it, so if I am, so unfortunately, here it comes.
In a world where partial greatness is celebrated and total greatness is shunned, there stands to be a figure on the lips of those who love him and those who hate him. The inane comparisons to Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant continue and has existed since 2003. There is no end in sight, for the battle between those who unconditionally love and unconditionally hate him wages on. These are their stories. Welcome to the Bronsexual Confessions.
So before I go on with what I'm going to talk about today, we were giving and paying homage to the great, now late great, Bill Russell. And there was a prisoner of the moment take where someone says, oh yeah, Bill Russell, top 5 all time. I was like, no. Top 5 legend of all time, there's not even a debate. Number 1 champion of all time, that's indisputable. But top 5 player, not with one who averaged 19, 22, and 4. I can't really say top 5. He's close, but I can't really say that. So I was asked by a Celtics fan who was in my top 5, and mine was not, well, except for Kareem and Jordan. That's the order of they're the greatest players I've ever seen and studied even of all time. But my top 5 was, and I said Jordan, Kareem, Bird, Magic, and Wilt. And so a Bronsexual decided to laugh at that, and I just let it go. Because, of course, I didn't mention his Kang. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm not even in right throat. My bad. Wait a minute. let me get in proper Bronsexual mode. Okay. My Kang. No one's greater. Jordan sucks. Kobe needs to die another death. Bird can't lace LeBron's shoes. Kareem, big man, little talent. Shaq is just a big buffoon. All other players bow to him because they all eat garbage. Okay, now I'm in mode. All right, good. All right. So I had a conversation with a Bronsexual as I was perusing social media. And what did this conversation unearth? I'm so glad you asked. It unearthed absolute stupidity. It unearthed absolute buffoonery. It unearthed, quote, utter blasphemy. And close quote. And it offered the following, quote, LeBron James passing Kareem Abdul-Jabbar will be worth more than a championship ring. Close quote.
This is some good.
We take a slight pause for the cause, and we'll get back to the Bronsexual Confessions. Just a quick second. Had to deal with the fam. Six says, Cole, I'm actually Paulo pescatarian, which you'll eat chicken and you'll eat fish and turkey. That's right. Okay. All right. All right. Oh, so you liked how I try to get in the bronsexual mode. I appreciate that, brother. And he says, and I love this line because this is true. You don't look for them, they find you. And yes, this ridiculousness found me. So how can any bronsexual fix his or her mouth to say that a career mark is greater than a championship ring? Oh, I totally forgot. It's easy for bronsexuals to fix their mouths for anything cylindral.
Bitch, are you for real?
I mean, you all do act like vacuum cleaners. You suck and blow at the same time. But this is a level of sucking and blowing that is utterly ridiculous.
You for real?
Yes, Teddy, I am for real. Because I don't understand how you all can fix your mouths, bronsexuals, to say that a career mark is more valuable than the most valuable thing that you can earn in a player's career, which is a championship. Because, and chat, please respond to me in this. Those who are watching, please respond to me. Those who are watching this on replay, type the answer into the chat, into the comment box below. Have you ever heard a player say, I'm training this year to be the MVP? I'm training this year to be the finals MVP. I'm training this year to be the Magic Johnson or Larry Bird Conference Finals MVP. Steals leader. Block shot leader. Scoring champion. Defensive player of the year. Comeback player of the year. Sixth man of the year. Man of the year. Most prolific scorer. Most prolific rebounder. Most prolific assist guy. Note all of that. They all say, and I will say this loudly and proudly, quote, I am training to win an NBA World Championship, close quote. Even Yo Kang trains, at least he says it outwardly, trains to win an NBA championship. But I shouldn't be shocked because you all are bronsexuals. And bronsexuals, you all, with another B word, embrace wholeheartedly blasphemy. That's right. Like this utter blasphemy that I'm about to read now, back in May, where, you know, Giannis lost by 30 in the game 7, and Durant got swept in the first round, and Embiid choked in front of a home crowd, and Jokic got bounced in the first round, and Steph, he's been carried all playoffs long, and he got carried all the way to winning a Finals MVP. I'm sorry. Ladies and gentlemen, LeBron James is still the best basketball player in the world. Rick.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
This is the crap that I'm talking about. I mean, I find this littered all throughout my social media. And this is why the segment has been created. And I created this about a couple of years back because I did not want to talk about this guy. And to me, and I'll say this here, I think we talk about him too much on this show. It was to the point where I kept seeing stories about this guy every single day that we had to compile this into a 15-minute span because I did not want to soil any program much less mine, by putting this crap on it all throughout the whole week. Because we'll be talking about this guy not in January and February only, but in July, August, and September. Like now, this is August. This is the first Wednesday in August. And guess what we're talking about? A bronsexual who only days prior mentioned that it would be great and it would be a greater honor for LeBron James to become the most prolific scorer in NBA history, and it would mean more than a championship ring.
You're a stupid dumbass.
This is the type of ridiculousness that we all have to face, and that's why I'm trying to stop it, because it just gets more and more pervasive. More and more pervasive. Oh, let me show love to the chat again. Stacy Purcell, who joined me in the bottom of the hour, she says, never. I agree with that, Stacy. Six says, heck no. Six says, assist leader of all time? No. Six says, exactly. It's about the championship, a team award. Individual awards cannot compensate for it. Not even the league MVP award. Andrew, yes, I was channeling Chris Bass in that. That's right. Don't soil this program by putting crap on it. Yeah, that was the intent of creating Bronsexual Confessions. I wanted to not have it be stained by talking about him or the members of his faction, not the fan base that actually has reasonable expectations of the guy, but the obsessive ones where you praise everything he does and never criticize him, and you paint everything with the LeBron James is God brush. I created this, so I was like, okay, I got at least 15 or 20 minutes that I could talk about him, so that the rest of the week, I don't even have to mention his name once. But you already know how that goes. I can name 5 things that would be greater than being the all-time points leader in NBA history. Let me see. Number 5. Just being a great teammate overall throughout your entire career. You can have all these stats, and that's great, and you get praise for it. That's wonderful. But if you were a lousy teammate, who would give a crap? Seriously, who would care if you were a scoring champion if you were a horrible athlete, a horrible player, a horrible teammate? Yeah, just doesn't fly. See, number 4. To actually affect your team at some point on the court with W's and L's, I mean, so that they can be put in position to win playoff games, playoff series, and championships. That you actually were an impact player. That means more than having the most points ever scored. Number 3, quite frankly, assists or rebounds, because it's not about you. And if you can focus on things that's not about you, then guess what will happen? People will laud who you are. Look at how people revere Magic Johnson and Larry Bird, because they were guys that, yeah, they got their points and they affected the game. But both guys could affect the game by taking 11, 12, 13 shots in the game. And this was said by Kevin McHale about both Bird and Magic, and I 100% agree with him. Quote, these guys would take only 12 shots a game, and they were the best players on the court by far. Close quote. Number 2, that he affected the game so much that he is revered on the court and off the court. And why is that important? It is why people still love Jordan. It is why people still love Kobe. It's why people still love and follow Shaq, because he's a great figure off the court and in his retirement. On the court, he was a beast. And when he actually embraced being a bully on the court, that's when he won his chips. But when he wanted to be the diverse guy, he didn't come close to sniffing a finals appearance. But yeah, if you could be just as good off the court as on it, and definitely if you were better on it off it than on it, then yeah, you will get your props. And I will say this so that Bronsexuals will think that I am not biased. One of LeBron James's greatest features is the fact that he actually is pretty good off the court. I'll be the first to say that. I love a lot of things he's about. I love a lot of things that he does. Off the court, he's great. And on the court, he does some good things too. But being a good citizen off the court and being a good player on the court combined, that means a whole lot more than just being a scoring champion. And I already mentioned number one. You lead your team to an NBA championship. Yo Kang has done it 4 times. All 4 of those rings individually are much bigger, much greater of importance, much more impactful than scoring 38,400 points in an NBA career. You see, Wilt, he scored over 31,000. That even isn't the number that people talk about when it comes to him. It's the number that he talked about with the women he bedded in his autobiography. They talk about that number more than they talk about the 40 point he scored more than 30,000 points in a career. They even talk about that number more than the 100 points he scored in the game, which still to this day, 60 years later, remains as the most prolific points scored in a single game in the history of the league. And then there's Kareem. Yes, he scored more than 38,300 points in his career. But that wasn't what made him spectacular. Because he passed Wilt's number 5 years before he retired. It wasn't the number. It was the man. It was the fact that he won 6 MVPs, the most ever in NBA history. It was the fact that he created the most indefensible shot in the history of the sport in the skyhook. And he created that most indefensible shot to block in NBA and basketball history because in college, the NCAA said, okay, this dunking that you're doing, Lou Alcindor, you're dominant, you're too dominant. So we gotta, we have to level the playing field. So we're gonna ban dunking. So what does he do? The cerebral guy that he is, he creates a shot that doesn't involve dunking. And that next year, they only lost 1 game and they still won a national championship. Did UCLA. Kareem was a champion in every single level. He won 6 rings as a pro basketball player. He won, and he has a better finals record than Yo Kang does, Bronsexuals. He won 3 national championships while being in UCLA. And New York high school ball historians, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Lou Alcindor only lost 2 high school games. And Ian definitely was a champion there too. What am I laying out by saying all of this? All of those 19 All-Star appearances, multiple time All-Star first team, multiple time All-NBA first teams. His pedigree meant a whole lot more than just having over 38,300 points scored in an NBA career. And again, the number that's mentioned more than anything with him, the championships, 6. That's mentioned more. And that's mentioned more than how many points he scored. And even the national championships he won, that number is mentioned more than the amount of points he scored. See, this is why you bronsexuals are skewered in your thought process. You think about the wrong things all the time. All the time. It is always about if you are with this number and not if you have impacted the game this way. I'll pause the Bronsexual Confessions to get love in the room. Once again, 6 says, Cole, do you remember the movie? Do you in the chat remember the movie The Fan starring Robert De Niro and Wesley Snipes? I do. Wonderful. Wonderful. The BS3 Network fam, how you doing, Ben? He says good morning to me, and he says good morning to the chat. And Andrew says it back to BS3, and so does Sick. Now back to the Bronsexual Confessions. Here's the thing. Is it a wonderful, monumental mark? Yes. I'd be foolish to say otherwise. I would be dumb to say otherwise. I actually have said it, and I'll say it here. If he remains healthy, and I think he probably will, LeBron will be the first to score 40,000 points in a career in NBA history. I believe he will. Does that mean that makes him the greatest of all time? I want to so badly play this, but I won't. And you know, for those who seem to want to impact a conversation with this is something that you need to hear, and we're going to say it to you no matter what. We're going to say it to you no matter what your fan affiliation is. We're going to say this to you no matter how much you don't want to hear it. We're going to say to you no matter if you disagree with us. To that, all I have to say is,
I don't remember asking you a thing.
Because when I see many of you,
I'm getting too old for this.
And why am I like this? Well, Yo Kang got on Twitter this time last year, and he tweeted the following. Keep talking about my squad. Our personnel ages, the way he plays. He say he's injured. We're past our time in this league, etc., etc., etc. Do me one favor, please. And I mean please. Praying hands emoji. Keep that same narrative energy when it begins. That's all I ask. Hashtag thank you. Crown emoji. And so that's what I'm doing. Bronsexual. Oh, Lord. Look. That is not a lollipop. That is not a popsicle. Stop. Much better. Follow the bouncy ball. And please follow it correctly. Scoring championships don't mean a thing unless you have that ring. Being the most prolific scorer of all time in NBA history does not supplant a championship ring. Being stupid, like you all are, simply does not supplant how important an NBA championship ring is. Enough fun. Let's just get to the brass tacks, shall we? This is what I talk about endlessly when I say that you want to discredit want to discredit anybody who you feel as though LeBron James is not better than. you want to feel that you have the right to denigrate any legend and any player today because they simply aren't LeBron. For example, the one that Rod calls James DeBarge, Stephen Curry. In the LeBron James era, Stephen Curry has the same amount of rings as as LeBron does. The only difference is he has 4 Finals MVPs to Curry's 1, and many laud that over Curry's head, and they laud, of course, most valuable player trophies. LeBron has 4, Curry only has 2. Here's the thing. So what? People consider Kobe to be one of the greatest players of all time. At worst, one of the 10 greatest. You know how many MVPs he's won? 1. Yeah. Yeah. In all of his 20-year greatness, he only took the MVP hardware home 1 time. Once. 2008. Bill Russell, who he won the most of all time, he took that trophy home 5 times. But do you know why you don't talk about him all that much? It's for 3 reasons, Bronsexuals. You don't talk about him that much because you insult that era just like you insult the 90s when you talk about Jordan, in saying that guys like Russell and Jordan only played with teachers, steel workers, plumbers, and electricians. Meanwhile, the league was built on the backs of Russell and Jordan and Bird and Magic and Dr. J and Kobe and Shaq even and Duncan. The league was built on the backs of those gentlemen, Bronsexuals. You cannot denigrate them, and you most certainly cannot denigrate Lou Alcindor, also known as Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, because he also built the NBA to what it is now and where it has gone since he played to where it is now. Your criticism hurts because it is based on opinion, not fact. And then you try to justify this fact as saying, well, look at the points, look at the rings, look at the assists, look at the rebounds. No, I don't have to look at any of that. All I have to look at is how these individuals played. LeBron, the NBA is going to be built off of his back too. No question. The dude is going to be in his 20th year this year. Just for him to say that he has played that long is something that should be saluted. No question. No question. However, and there's a big caveat. Just because he lasted this long does not mean that he's better than everybody, because Kareem, he played 21 years in the NBA. 21. And I'm not saying that LeBron probably won't play 21. He probably played longer than that. But what I'm saying is that isn't special. The fact that LeBron is now 37 in his 20th year. It's something to behold, and it's something to respect, but it is not something to revere and hold over people's heads and say, but your guy didn't do this like you do with Jordan. Yeah, LeBron's played 19 years, but your professed greatest of all time only played 13. So what? A guy who just died recently only played 13 years. Count them, 13. But you know what he did, Bronsexual? He won 11 championships in 12 appearances in the NBA Finals. That means, and I know you are so horrible with math, Bronsexuals, it means the legend I'm talking about, who is Bill Russell, only appeared in anything not in the finals once. He only had 1 year where he did not go to the finals. 1. The other 12 of the 13 years he played, he went to the finals. And of those 12 years, he won it 11 times. That is something to be lauded. Now, I'm not saying that I believe that Bill Russell is one of the 5 greatest players of all time. Now, I'm not saying he's the greatest player of all time. What I am saying, though, is the fact that this guy is a champion. That is to be lauded. And he's nowhere near the all-time prolific scorers list. He doesn't have to be. His legendary status is enough. Heck, it's more than enough. Because the award that Joe Kang wants to go after, which is the Finals MVP, it's named in honor of the late Bill Russell. Because Joe Kang has only grabbed that hardware 4 times, with the guy it's named after won it 7 times more. Put this, your sexual fantasy. It's time to put up or shut up, Bronsexuals. Stop making every little thing monumental. Scoring, the all-time scorer Spark is great, but I want him to do something greater. And unfortunately, his time has run out, and he can't do anything greater. You know, as in erase the 6 finals losses he's had. Well, no, 5 of the 6. I'll give him the mulligan of 2007. Erase 5 of those finals losses, and then replenish them with W's. He can't do that. Neither can you, Bronsexuals. And this is why you all go so ballistic over with me or with Brian or with anybody who brings you the truth, because quite simply put,
You can't handle the truth.
So help me God. So when it comes to you saying that we should award LeBron James the greatest of all time trophy, and it should be without question that we do this when he surpasses Kareem on the all-time most prolific scorers list in NBA history.
You know your damn role and shut your damn mouth.
Now, Bronsexual.
Have a Coke and a smile and shut up.
Thirsty heifers. Good Lord, I need to talk about them no more.
In a world where logic and sense flies completely out the window, while purple and yellow glasses are donned, rises a figure who encourages ridiculous, undying loyalty.
They go slurping. That's what they be doing.
Good Lord, I'm about to throw up. This has been yet another installment of the Bronsexual Confessions.
A commercial, a quick reset, and we'll be right back to conclude this edition of Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson. I'm Cole. Right after this, more of Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson.
This is Snowman in the Morning.
Hey everybody, Snowman here. Thanks for listening to this episode of Snowman in the Morning. You can support us at Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson every time you shop for fan gear or collectibles at Fanatics. Just visit officialsitmorn.com/fanatics and click on the Fanatics logo. Then shop as planned and we'll get a commission on your sale that will help us a ton. Next time you're going to shop at Fanatics, just visit officialsitmorn.com/fanatics and support our morning show. Thanks.
BS3 Network. Changing the way you watch TV.
Sports program that gives you the flavor.
Washington Commanders? Really?
This whole thing stinks to high heaven.
That pulls no punches.
Thuggish act by a thuggish actor.
That gives you some humor.
Praise everything LeBron does and never criticize it.
If you want a show that gives you good times, then this is that show.
I am Cole Johnson, and welcome to
Cole Sports with a Z. Every Friday on Patreon, and every Saturday on YouTube, Spreaker, and all other outlets.
Owen, let's talk for a second.
Hi, Ellen. Come on in.
When you came into my life, it was a whirlwind.
I just can't do it.
It'll come to you.
It won't.
We had a lot to learn about each other. A lot. Hey, looks good. Things were changing so quickly.
Whoa.
We didn't know what the future would hold. Any of us. I just wish you felt more at home now. But we knew you would always be a part of it. Adopting you was the best decision in our life. And I am so proud to call you my son.
Mister? How do you operate this Twitter thing or this Instagram thing or whatever the heck? You're supposed to know all this stuff. Anyway, welcome back to the show.
Winding it down in the Wednesday edition of Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson. I am Cole Johnson. The other half is a little under the weather, but he will return tomorrow. I'm sure he will do that. He sends his regards and his regrets to all of you, and he will return back on the mic to join me. Now, if you all feel compelled, all of you feel compelled to donate to the Brother Snowman, all you have to do is hit that Cash App at $ Tallman Dr. K50. That's Tallman DRKAY50. That is how you can reach him via Cash App. And now we get to talk all things University of Kentucky with Stacy Purcell. The Big Blue happenings are happening now since we are in the football season. So how are you doing, Stacy?
Doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. So, of course, football will be starting up, I guess you could say, about a month or so from now. What is the big news there?
Well, right now, the big news really isn't sports related. It's having to do with the floods here in Kentucky and Eastern Kentucky. there's been a lot going on with that. The state of Kentucky, we've pulled together and we're raising money. The football team is doing a telethon. The basketball team did last night. They raised $2.4 million. So that's pretty much on our minds right now at the moment. But football wise, we still got 35 days until we start our regular season. And so we're looking forward to that. But like I said, we're thinking about the people in Eastern Kentucky right now, and my thoughts and prayers go to them.
And that's where I actually wanted to go about a couple of questions. But how are you, I should ask? Are you safe?
Yes. Actually, I'm in the central part of Kentucky. I'm about 40 miles from Bowling Green, where that huge tornado had hit.
Right.
I'm about 40 miles from there. So I'm well over 200 miles away from Eastern Kentucky. So we did get a lot of rain, but nothing compared to what they got in Eastern Kentucky.
Okay. So, and I work with some colleagues who they do coverage in that area.
Mm-hmm.
But since you actually live in the state, how devastating is the damage there?
It's really bad. They're still looking for bodies. So far, I think they found 36. The most tragic we've heard so far is a family that lost 4 of their children. They were in the trees where the water swept them up into the trees, and they were clinging on to their children, and they lost all 4 of their children. And our governor, Andy Beshear, he pretty much says that it's going to be weeks before we find more bodies. It's going to take that long. So that's how devastating the floods are. I mean, homes destroyed, schools, stores, everything's basically underwater up there. But I will say this, with the state of Kentucky, like I said, we all pulled together, and a huge shout out to Chris Stapleton, the Grammy Award singer.
Mm-hmm.
There's actually, lives in Kentucky. He's a Kentuckian, and he's up there right now helping, and, with him being so famous, people were looking at him like, you look familiar. What's your name? And he said, my name is Chris. And that was just it. So that shows right there. I love my state because we come together as a family and we're just so humble. And so shout out to Chris Stapleton and to everybody that's volunteering, that is donating, that is giving money and their time and their efforts.
Yeah. And Chris Stapleton, I live in the Nashville area. So yeah, he's very huge here. And the same sentiment that you've echoed about him, we echo here. Yeah, he's such a wonderful, down-to-earth personality. And you would think a talent as big as him wouldn't be so, I guess you say, everymanish, but he is.
Exactly.
And I'm so glad that he is being a presence in an area that needs a presence like him.
Yes.
All right. So going into the 2022 football season, what are the expectations of the University of Kentucky in terms of where they want to go and how far they think they can go?
Well, but with my group, I pretty much put the question out there, how do you think our team is going to do this year? And the majority of our members said that they think that they will go 9-3. I kind of echo that sentiment, that we'll go 9-3. And I think our losses are going to be Ole Miss, Georgia, and I hate saying this, but Tennessee, good old Rocky Flop. Yeah, everybody thinks that our biggest rival is with Louisville because, we're in the same state. But actually, the biggest rival in football that we have is actually Tennessee. We've played them the most times.
Right.
And so, yeah, because Tennessee's offense is just outstanding. In 2020, they were ranked 109th in offensive scoring. And then last year, they were ranked 7th. Mm-hmm. And so it's only getting better. So, yeah, it's going to be tough because with our defensive line, it's not as strong as it should be. So I'm going to have to give it win to Tennessee. Excuse me while I just spit the blood out of my mouth as I say that. But I think it's going to happen. With Ole Miss, I mean their quarterback is outstanding, you know, and so yeah, I gotta give that to them. And then with Georgia, naturally, I mean it's Georgia, you know. I mean you just can't. I mean they gave Alabama fits, and we know how Alabama is, you know.
Right.
So I mean with Georgia, I mean offensive and defense wise, I mean they're just outstanding. I mean even though last year we almost came close. We did lose by 1 point in overtime to them. But I mean, they're a powerhouse.
Yeah. Well, well, at least you have the I guess you could say good fortune of when you do play Georgia this year, they're going to Lexington and you're not going between the hedges. So you have that.
That's true. I think in the Big Blue Nation, they're showing up and showing out because those tickets went on sale and they sold out in 5 minutes. So we are ready. I mean, unfortunately, I wasn't able to get any tickets. Lord knows I tried, but I'm going to try my best to get to that game. But I expect to take in a couple of games this season, especially the Louisville game. That's you know, that's the number one game that I want. I don't care if we lose every game rest of the season. We got to beat Louisville. Because these Louisville fans they're too much. They're too much. They're always chirping. They're like Bronsexuals. They really are. So you know how the Bronsexuals are?
Yes.
That's like a Louisville fan. They're just well, Louisville did this and Louisville did that. And back in '86, we won this. And 2013, we won this. No, you didn't win nothing in 2013. You got your banner snatched. So shut up.
Oh my gosh.
You know, so yeah.
That is great. Oh my. Okay. I'll ask you about Louisville in a second. So I mentioned that I live in Nashville, and you probably live probably a little more than an hour from where I am. So describe to me, because I always found this interesting as soon as I moved in the area, how people from Tennessee regard how the University of Tennessee, I should say, regard people from Kentucky and vice versa. Why do you think that rivalry between the Volunteers and the Wildcats is so special?
I think it's because we're just so close together. Because I mean, you know, pretty much it's like I can hit Interstate 65 and I'm in Nashville in like 45 minutes. With the way I drive, 45 minutes tops. So I think it's just because we're so close. And then in some ways, I think it's just because, and I'm not speaking for anybody in Tennessee when I say this, but I think they kind of look down on us. It's like, oh, it's Kentucky. They're just hillbillies. They don't know any better. You know, we're just the best at everything. And then Kentucky, I mean, we tend to look at them like, okay, that's Rocky Flop. And it's just, and the number one thing, I'm speaking personally when I say this. The number one thing that irritates, scratches, bugs, pinches, pulls my soul is that song Rocky Top. That is the god awfulest song ever. And I got a question. Since you live in Tennessee, I have a question.
Okay.
I don't know if you're a Tennessee fan, but can you explain to me why they always play Rocky Top? Okay, I know they're supposed to play Rocky Top at every game. Yeah. I totally understand that. But why is it during a halftime, commercial break, bathroom break, cheerleaders come out on the floor, the mascot is on the field, you know, why is it always Rocky Top? Is there anything else musically that they can play? I mean, even we have a selection of songs, but y'all just got a song. Why? And another thing that irritates me is that darn orange, because it reminds me of traffic cones. I can't tell you how many times I've tried to drive somewhere and there are traffic cones saying you can't go through here, and I automatically think of Tennessee and I just want to run them over. And the checkerboard field, I'm just, you know, I could go on and on and on about Tennessee, but we just gonna leave that alone because I'm, you know. You're from Tennessee. I don't want to cause no hard feelings. I got enough enemies in Tennessee already with some of them fans.
Oh no! So, well, to let you know, Stacy, I'm not bred in Tennessee. I just moved here. My rooting allegiances are in Texas, but but the first thing I did notice was, wow, okay, interesting. I'm seeing a lot of, and actually, this is what I find really interesting. So during the football season, of course, I see a lot of Alabama and Tennessee paraphernalia.
Mm-hmm.
When we get into the winter, I don't see anything but that blue and white.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's like like during like the SEC tournament when they have it there in Nashville.
Yeah.
You go on Broadway, and what do you see? You see a sea of blue. I've been to SEC tournaments so many times, and the last time I went, they took my ticket and they said, "Welcome to Rupp Arena of the South," and I'm like, "You better say that, boy. You better preach it and pass the collection plate." So yeah, Tennessee is just, I don't know.
Right.
I always say the three greatest things that come out, well, the four greatest things that come out of Tennessee is Justin Timberlake, Elvis Presley, Peyton Manning, and the all-time great, love her, is Pat Summitt.
Pat Summitt. Yeah.
You know, other than that, I got some friends in Tennessee, love y'all to death, but the rest, and you know, you live in Tennessee now, you cool, you good people. Yeah. But everybody else, I just can't with them. I just can't. I'm just so.
Okay, so now I have the understanding of like you regard those who were Volunteers fans, and to clarify, I'm not a Volunteers fan, so
and I respect that and appreciate it.
Yeah. So what makes it different, considering that other than one's out of state and one's in state, between the vitriol, disdain that one from Kentucky holds for Tennessee versus one that you would hold for Louisville?
I think the difference is that we have to deal more with Louisville fans than Tennessee fans. We have some Tennessee fans here in Kentucky. I don't understand. I don't understand how. I mean, I can understand if you move from Tennessee and come to Kentucky. It's like, oh yeah, I'm a Tennessee fan. That's fine. But how you will live in the state of Kentucky all your life and be like, oh, I'm a Tennessee fan. I'm a Duke fan. Make it make sense, you know?
Yeah.
But I think what it is just Louisville fans, they're Cardinals for a reason. They're always chirping. Always.
No.
Whereas, you know, Tennessee fans, they will talk smack, you know, during basketball season, and they have every right to.
Right.
You know, football season, yeah, they'll be able to talk smack this season. I'm going to give them that, you know. But overall, it's just that, and I think with Tennessee fans, they think that, oh, well, Kentucky think they're better than us. Well, we have been, you know. So, I mean, where's the lie? You know, why you mad? You know, but with, I don't know, it's just Tennessee fans, they just think that we're just, you know, obnoxious and just overwhelming and just overbearing. And which, yeah, I'm a member of the Big Blue Nation. And I will claim it. I'm the kind of person that I keep it real. If it's true, I will claim it. And yes, we can be those things. But I mean, look at the history that we have at Kentucky. We have every right to say what we got to say, you know. Yeah. So that's pretty much the difference. But Louisville fans, I honestly, if I had a choice between a Tennessee fan and a Louisville fan, I'd have to take a Tennessee fan.
Wow.
I'm telling you, you come to Kentucky and it's just.
Look, I totally
please
understand.
Louisville fans. But yeah, Rocky Flop. Yeah.
Oh Lord. Latina, but the Latin Patriot. I think the answer is here. It says they play that same song to drive y'all insane.
Exactly. Exactly. I swear, it's like if I was a prisoner of war and they stuck me down in the ground and they played the first time they played that song, I'm like, I give up. What do you need to know? I'll tell you everything I need to know, because that song is like, oh gosh. And you know what the crazy thing is? Is that the person that wrote Rocky Top actually comes from Kentucky. We know, and we no longer claim them.
Oh my.
Yeah. But
that is hilarious.
Oh, Rocky. Oh, see, I got that song stuck. I can't. It's too much.
Yeah, I do too, actually, now that you mention it. Stacy Purcell, part of Big Blue Happenings. She joins us every Wednesday at the bottom of the third hour. Where can the people find you, ma'am?
Well, actually, I run a group on Facebook called Crazy About Kentucky Basketball and More.
Oh, okay.
So just be sure to check us out. I mean, we're all about fun and positivity, and not only about Kentucky basketball, but Kentucky athletics, and everything. So yeah, come and join us.
No. Well, it's great. Well, it's always a great time to have you on board, Stacy, and definitely prayers to your state's brethren. I hope everything is fine with you and with those in the eastern part of the state, because that was some devastating flooding that happened there.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And you have a wonderful day. And I pray for Brian to feel better. And y'all take care and go Big Blue.
Thank you again. That's Stacy Purcell, Big Blue Happenings. She's also said that she's part of Crazy About Kentucky Basketball and More, which, that'd be interesting to see that more. All right, that will do it for this edition of Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson. And you all in the chat, wonderful. I thank you all for everything that you do. You all are the lifeblood of this show, because if there wasn't for you, this platform would not exist. And I thank you to my brother Brian. I hope everything goes well with him, and he will hopefully join me, as I will be abbreviatedly joining you tomorrow, as of course Thursday is my busy day of the week, because I am full of meetings. But until then, as we always say to end this show, take care, God bless. Always make your next move your best move. And remember, if your dreams don't scare you, then they're simply not big enough. Dream big, do bigger. I know that's what y'all are doing in the chat. That's what I'm doing. That's what my man Brian is doing. We hope y'all are doing that too. Andrew, you have a great rest of your day as well. Same thing to you, Latina Patriot. And for me, yes, I think, Sick, you're right. I think Jim Cornette would have a difference of opinion with that, considering he is a Louisville native. I am Cole Johnson. Thank you again. And for all of us here, have a wonderful rest of your day. We will do it again, 8 a.m. Eastern, 5 a.m. Pacific tomorrow. Until then, see ya.
Thank you for tuning in to Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson, the hottest of hot takes and the coldest of cold, hard facts.